Hello guys, today I'm gonna yap about the current state of spectres in Path of Exile 2, which is really bad to be honest. A couple of days ago I wrote a post on forum of early access where I'm talking about steps that should solve current problems with spectres, and I decided to make a video to show some problems and solutions more in details. But I'm not gonna dive really deep though, because in that case, video is gonna be way too long, and I'm lazy. So first things first, I'm just gonna say that I have around 4k hours in Path of Exile 1, so I'm gonna judge from that perspective as well, keep that in mind. So the problems that specters currently have right now is, first, 80% of them are really slow, which is really annoying because in most cases you just can't play with them because of that.
Wardrum Kin. Medium movement. Let's watch this first. How big? Oh my god.
And well, what should GGG do about that is cap all of Spectre's movement speed as being at least fast. By the way, you can check movement speed tag on every minion in the game on PoEDB2. Second thing is almost all Spectres have a big cooldowns on their main damage abilities. That is bad because they are not consistent enough to perform, and you just gonna stand like a fucking bozo waiting until they finally decide to cast their spell/abilities, which is, as you can guess, is not fun at all, and also terribly bad for dealing damage. For example, we have really cool looking cultist archers that fire a beautifully looking toxic rain, but for some reason they have an 8-second cooldown on that ability, which is really strange because it's their main source of damage. And honestly, damage numbers on that ability is also not that good, as well as APS. But we are gonna talk about damage and APS scale things a little bit later on. My suggestion is really simple on that. Remove almost all cooldowns on main damage dealing abilities, or reduce all cooldowns but add ways to obtain more CDR, through gems, jewels and uniques. Third thing on the list is weapon swap. That shit is really stupid, because it's not intended mechanic obviously, but some people use that because specters are too fucking slow. And also, if you're running with specters that have a long cast time, after you swap weapon, it takes ages for them to cast something. This problem can be solved if they added Convocation skill like in PoE1. If you don't know what it does, it basically teleports all minions to you and give them active HP regen. They should add that skill not just like a gem, but in Rattling Scepter with Summon Skeleton Warriors, because you just simply cannot fit that gem in final builds. And I think it's gonna solve the weapon swap issue, because Convocation should be way better than weapon swap. Fourth thing on the list is they should get rid of conversion of damage on Spectre skills and spells, because that creates a problem with damage scaling, and also, what the fuck is that? Next thing I really want to talk about is that many specters have bad damage numbers or bad APS, and because they have bad base damage and APS numbers, they can be used even if they have really nice abilities. To be honest, damage problem is not that big of a deal, but APS is. Almost all specters have an attack time of 1.1 or 1 second, which is bad, because they need to walk up to the enemy, charge their attack/spell, and only then they can deal damage. This is especially bad for melee specters and all specters that attack in general. The scaling on Spectre APS and specific damage types is also really bad. I was about to add some examples of it, but it's just gonna take ages to dive in, so I'm just gonna say that the best Spectre in the game right now, Frozen Mandible in Gaza build, that costs probably around 150 divs, attacks 1.77 times per second. This is the fastest attack spectre in the entire game, by the way. Another thing that I want to talk about is that many specters have a problem with HP. They really squishy. For example, cultist archers on 25 level gem have only 14k HP, which is not that bad, but they die really easily. But HP is not the only problem, because you just almost don't have minions HP regen, so they die pretty fast because of that as well. Next thing is almost all minion builds have the same 2 gems that raise their damage. That is Feeding Frenzy 2 and Muster. And in some cases it's really hard to scale their damage otherwise, because you have really small choice of gems, uniques and jewels, how you can scale minion damage. Most uniques are specifically dedicated to minions, are trash, so they are not useful at all. Also, minions have a huge problems with them being passive and prefer not to attack, or just wander around like an idiot, or just stay behind you until you move. Their aggro radius is sometimes very small, so please bring back node minions are aggressive, like in PoE1, that makes aggro radius bigger and make them search for the enemy and not stay behind you. Make that node on Feeding Frenzy, make it on a passive tree or on a unique Jewel, because that is really annoying. Also, please add phasing in Spectre Gem, because all Spectres, especially melee ones, have same fucking issue that they are body block each other. Bring back aura Spectres like in PoE1, that you can bind them and they're gonna give you some auras like haste, more physical damage and etc. Or if you are afraid some other class is gonna abuse that, make auras that gonna affect only allies. Add some new gems like Melee Splash, Multi-Strike or Mirror Archer version for minions, or something that they can scale their clear speed potential. Change Spectre AI, because some of them prefer to not use their skill after cooldown has passed, or they just refuse to use some of their abilities, or in case of ranged Spectres, they are sometimes prefer to using their melee attacks while they don't have a cooldown on their abilities. In that case, you need to get rid of melee attacks on range units, as well as force them to use their main spell/abilities. My 13th suggestion is add something like Signal Prey from PoE1. For those who don't know what it does, it allows you to mark an enemy for your minions to prioritize them like a number 1 target. Because it's really annoying if you're trying to kill a boss or a rare enemy and your minions just not focusing them and instead run around and killing white mobs. My next suggestion is gonna be, once you bind a Spectre, you don't need to bind him anymore, even if you disenchant your gem. You just can go through a list of Spectres that you already binded before on any Spectre gem to revive them again. So that's about it for now. If you have another suggestions, feel free to leave it down in comments. And for the final words, I'm gonna say that I'm really like PoE 2 and how it's improving over time. So I'm really hope that someone of GGG staff, maybe, perhaps, watch this video and make those changes so we stop struggle and enjoy game more. Peace.